The other thing I would point out is that this notion of a landscape of possible experience certainly allows for what we call spiritual or mystical experience. I think there's no question that people can have extraordinary experiences that can take a lot of training to access. And there may be experiences that we just can't access given how our minds are structured, but which are there in potential. And I think a lot of what we classically think of as good in our lives, positive human emotions like compassion, for instance, are best thought of as skills. They're clearly trainable to some degree. There are talents that are not equally apportioned across the human population. I used to be in the habit of saying that undoubtedly there's a Tiger Woods of compassion out there. For obvious reasons, that analogy doesn't quite run through. But perhaps you take the point. There's no reason to think that there can't be such a thing as moral genius. A genius that aligns someone's intelligence for making the kinds of discriminations you have to make to maximize your well-being and the well-being of others. Also, this model allows for what we might think of as pathological states of happiness, kind of islands of clearly non-normative and ultimately dysfunctional ways of being. And I don't know if you, how many of you recognize this photo? Who can actually see it? This is from, this photo is from a book that's now called the Auschwitz album, which is a photo album that was found in somebody's attic very recently. It just contains a few hundred photos of apparently very happy Nazis. And there was no description of who these people were, and a little research revealed that these were actually the people who were running Auschwitz during its prime as a machine of death. And this was what they were doing in their off days at a little chalet sort of near the camp. It was a few kilometers from the camp. These were people more or less having fun beneath the plume of human ash coming out of the crematorium of Auschwitz. And they are playing accordion music and eating blueberries and lying in the sun. Now, there's nothing about my description of the relationship between morality and well-being, or my notion of the moral landscape, that requires that I deny that these people are actually enjoying some state of happiness. I mean, I think these are real smiles. You know, they're not faking. I don't think these are psychopaths. But what's clearly wrong about this situation, and wrong about so many situations we encounter in this world, is that these people have defined, that they've bounded their moral universe so narrowly as to exclude most of humanity from it. And it's clearly this can't, even if it's possible to be a happy Nazi and go home and you still love your children and your pets and listen to Wagner and shed a tear, clearly this can't be a peak on the moral landscape. Now I want to look at what often purports to be an alternate moral framework with a little more care here, because I really think this is one of the great problems of our time. I want to talk about what is sort of reflexively referred to as extremist Islam for a moment. Now, and I think we use the term extremist in a euphemistic sense, and anyone here who knows how I feel about Islam knows just how I feel about it. First, I want to point out that when I'm talking about Islam, I'm not talking about all Muslims. I'm not talking about people, per se. I'm talking about the logical and behavioral consequences of certain ideas. And so I'm certainly not talking about nationalities, I'm not talking about Arabs, I'm not talking about... everything I say applies to a white guy like John Walker Lynn, who woke up one day in Marin County and thought he should go fight fatality. Okay, so I'm talking about ideas. Now these these men who you probably all recognize, Mullah Omar on the left, Osama bin Laden, and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, while they might disagree about a few things, they really agree about the nature of reality and how to live with it. And the problem we face is that their version of Islam is a very plausible version of Islam. Osama bin Laden is not the Reverend Jim Jones of the Muslim world. Yes, and this is a statement that's often, he's not the David Koresh of the Muslim world. He's a far more representative figure. And we deny this at our peril. But when I say we, I'm including the world's Muslims. I mean, there's nobody suffering under this ideology more than the world's Muslims. And no one more than Muslim women. Now, so what do these men believe? Well, first they believe that Muhammad got the Quran and Revelation directly from the Archangel Gabriel in a cave. I apologize for the cartoonish picture of Muhammad, but as you might imagine, pictures of Muhammad are a little hard to come by these days. And the result is we have a book, the Quran, which is thought to be the perfect word of the creator of the universe, never to be superseded by any human effort, no matter how long we try. It is the best book on any subject ever written and will always be. That's a problem, that belief, because it's not the best book on any subject. And there's a kind of fantastical degree of intellectual isolation that keeps this view insulated from criticism in the Muslim world, especially in the Arab world. I mean, the Arab, perhaps some of you have heard this statistic, but the country of Spain translates more of the world's literature and learning into Spanish every year than the entire Arab world has translated into Arabic since the 9th century. That's a shocking fact. Now, the Arab world is only 25% of the Muslim world, but it's most of the religious world. The Arab world controls the mosques throughout the world. And the net result of the ideology you get from the Quran is that the only appropriate way to orient yourself in this world is to live in total supplication to this invisible being who gave us this glorious book. And these are Kashmiri Muslims who are worshiping at a shrine believed to contain a single beard hair from the Prophet Muhammad. Now, in showing you this picture, I don't mean to make light of how difficult it undoubtedly is to be a Muslim living in Kashmir at this moment. And I don't actually mean to denigrate the positive emotions that might come from this way of living. I think devotion and having a strong community, and there are positive correlates to this kind of infatuation. But it seems to me patently obvious that given all of the challenges that we face in this world, and given that the prospects of collaboration should be open to us, these people have something more important to do than worship the beard hair of a man who may well have been a schizophrenic.